I was rolling along with all that going on.
My experience of depression was wholly internal. So I personally, I didn't take anything out on anyone. I was probably lazy with myself in not enacting on my mental health issues, and I internalised it. Some people do sort of, you know, they might be self-harming, or they might be bullies, or look, I don't know. There's a lot of ways you can express it, but personally for me, I just internalised it and just about drove myself nuts.
You find that your behaviour changes initially. The anger rises, your concentration drifts, and then you start trying to compensate for them. The more you try to compensate, or the worse it gets, because for some reason you take on a feeling of I'm not coping, and that feeds on itself, and then I'm not coping with not coping, and off it goes. From being moderately depressed or having minor depression, it can very rapidly escalate to I'm bloody worthless, I'm a burden on my family, I shouldn't be here, and that's the progression really, is you know, from feeling, oh, you know, I really don't feel like getting up this morning, to that can happen in a matter of weeks or months. Yeah.
I actually didn't ask for help. I was tripped up by my sister, and she recognised that I had a problem, but by that stage I was over it. I was over living my life. I just couldn't go on living it the way I was. She queried me and said, you know, what's wrong? And I can distinctly remember having like an out-of-body experience saying to her, I think I'm depressed, I need help, can you help me? And yeah, and at the same time I was totally frightened because I'd let the cat out of the bag for the first time. It's the first time I'd ever told anyone that I had an issue. And I remember I was thinking, geez, what am I going to do now, you know? I've got to do something. And she immediately said, look, this will be fine. We'll just book you into a psychologist and we'll do something. In fact, we might do it now. And I actually said to her, yeah, sure, righto, great. But hang on a sec, I'll just go and grab my phone out of the ute. And I ran and jumped in the ute and took off. I was too scared, just frightened, absolutely shit scared that I was now going to, you know, that I had help all the way in front of me, it's all there, but I had to do something about it, because I'd been paralysed for years and years by this illness, with the inability to, you know, really do anything. And then here's my first opportunity to actually get help, and I was too afraid, so I ran.
Realise, for something in the back of my mind, the realisation that my family actually did need me. While it wasn't prominent, I think it was there in the back of my mind. And my preferred method was head on with the truck. That was the plan. And I gave up. I saw it, when in a better days, I saw it as a real problem. And I gave up driving, mostly. But yeah, one day driving to Wagga, I'd actually picked the truck out. And anyway, I turned back. I said, no, this poor bugger's got a family too. And that was probably the switch that turned it back the other way. Because it wasn't just about me. It was going to drag another family involved, and that wasn't fair.
After my sister approached me and I admitted that I had a problem, and then I took off from the house, you know, she'd mentioned that, you know, I just needed to go and see a psychologist. And I actually started looking them up in the phone book, in the yellow pages. And just, there was a line of them there. There was probably about 6 or 8 psychologists in Wagga that I could have gone to see at any stage, and I couldn't bring myself to make a phone call. No way. So about 3 months after my initial conversation with my sister, she came into the kitchen in the morning and just said, I've locked all the doors and windows. You're not getting out. We're going to do something about this today. You're not going anywhere. And again, I was low after, having a big weekend, and I had no way of fighting back or, resisting her, her motivation. So I just said, all right, let's do it. So we got the phone book out again, and I knew what page to look up because I'd looked at it so many times, yet I didn't really know any of the psychologists on there. I couldn't really bring myself to read anything about them. And I randomly picked a phone number that, whichever one I think I locked my eye onto, and I rang up and we made an appointment. I can remember the woman on the other end of the line saying, righto, we can't see you for 2 weeks, and who referred you? And I said, oh, geez, my sister. And I remember this woman, she paused at the other end and said, God, are you going to be all right? And I said, yeah, no, thank you. I'm going to be fine. And I was pretty excited that, finally I was going to be able to go and see someone and get myself on the road to recovery. And I remember hanging up the phone and I looked at my sister and said, you saved my life. Yeah, she did. And it was the best day of my life. Riverina BlueBell is a small organisation that we started about 10 years ago. Essentially, it's aimed at promoting mental health awareness in the Riverina, and so we travel from as wide as Deniliquin to Hay, across to Tumut, promoting to the wider community the importance of good mental health and well-being, promoting what services are available, stimulating people and communities to act on mental health issues, to look after their friends, to access help, and also provide them with knowledge of what services are available within their community so that they can go direct to the source and hopefully be stimulated to act on their personal issues and get themselves back onto a track of good health.
The first psychiatrist that I was under, when I was about to be released from hospital in Albury, he asked me what I was going to do when I got out. And I said, oh, a lot of it will be the same, but I wouldn't mind doing a little bit of work on mental health. He effectively laughed at me. And that was always in my mind. And then I went to an event here in Lockhart. They had a speaker, and I was absolutely appalled by the quality of the presentation. It was bloody terrible. I went home to wife and said, I can surely do better than that. That was terrible. And that's when I went to Riverina BlueBell.
We're just normal people. We're just regular people in our community. We're no different from our neighbours or people, 100 kilometres down the road. Uniquely, we're all farmers, but we're just like anyone else in our community. And we're happy to tell an honest story about our lives and encourage people who can resonate with it to accept that maybe they can change as well.
So we're all inspired by either having been through, lived with, or been a part of either a bad mental health situation or a tragedy. And that's the motivation for all the members at Riverina BlueBell, effectively. And we get some terrific results with some of the work we do, but effectively we're still only scratching the surface. We've got a long, long way to go.
To the people that are well, they need to understand that that mental illness is not contagious. You will not catch a mental illness if you ask someone, are you okay? But you might just catch their life, and that is so valuable.